Shalom, shalom, welcome. We've returned to Kever Rachel this day after the burial of another terror victim here in Israel. It seems like every couple days more people are murdered in the streets. It gives you a sense that there is no central authority amongst men, and that all the more we have to turn to God. But you know, when people are getting murdered in the streets, it doesn't make you want to go out on the streets, does it? We were having a discussion today in yeshiva about this idea, and you know, the pain can drive us to very dark levels of thinking and behavior and reactivity, and the pain can drive us to even higher levels of faith and belief that there is something good, because you know, when things are good, it's not very high level of faith. It's when things aren't so good that we are demanded to reach higher into the tower of belief in the goodness and the rightness and the direction that we're trying to take with the Torah. But right now there is this sense of a splitting between the old and the new, between the religious and the non-religious, between the Jews and the Arabs, between the Jews and themselves. There's this pulling apart happening in a lot of directions. And that polarization is for a good reason. The polarization of good and evil, of right and wrong, of the light and the dark. We could use all the levels of language and metaphor. But there is that sense of the feeling of people going to their own corners. You know, in the Bible, there's many occasions where the Jews are forced to get together to field an army to fight their enemies. And then it says everybody goes home to his land, to his house. Because let's face it, where do we live? Do we live in a country? Do we live in a nation? Are these created constructs of our minds? We live in our own town? No, you live in your house. That's where you live. And more specific, we live in our thoughts. That's where we spend most of our time on this planet, is in our thoughts. Sometimes you dream and you'll be outside your thoughts. You'll be at a higher level. But sometimes thought goes so low that it's no longer considered thought at all. But amidst this polarization of all the forces, what's the point? Well, rather, the point is mi l'Hashem alai. The point is, just as Moses said in the Bible to the Jews after the making of the golden calf, whoever is for God, come to me. So why do I need the polarization to make that statement? Whoever's for God, come to me. Because when things are good and they seem to be flowing well, people don't feel compelled to make that choice to go for God or not. It's when things are pulling apart at the seams and you see that societies all over the planet are going to war, either with their neighbor or with each other. A decision is being forced from us, a position, take a stand. And God wants us to take a stand. Why does he need us to take a stand? He's an infinite, eternal being. He's not dependent on us for anything. But he created us for a relationship, and he wants that relationship to be real and to be true. Just like every couple wants true love. No one gets married for fake love. If they do, it's not going to last too long. But God wants real love, and God wants real attachment. And so he says, whoever is really for me in the midst of all this difficulty and this falsehood and this fake news, these fake leaders, these fake governments, fake corporations, and real corporations that are acting like they operate for our benevolence, and they're actually poisoning the air, the water, the food, etc. Mi l'Hashem alai. It's a difficult choice. It's a choice that we don't really want to make, actually. We just rather, I take my side. I'm a religious Jew. Okay, I grow my beard, I wear a kippah, I pray, I believe. There's plenty of people that don't look like me that believe and pray. But it's that taking a stand on the principles of justice that God, lasot mishpat ba'aretz, God wants justice in this land. And when people are getting murdered in the streets and the government says, no, 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 and maybe they put a guy in jail for a few years, the terrorists are not afraid. They're not deterred. There's no deterrence in this state of affairs. And without deterrence, well, people just do what they want to do. And they do what they get paid for. What is a conspiracy? Is when people conspire to do something together. Not all conspiracies are true, but not all are false. But when it comes to the land of Israel, I'm afraid the stakes are too high for people to be all operating at the highest level. All the people at this place in time are being demanded to make a choice. Mi Lashem alai. So wherever you are, whoever you hold yourself to be in the spectrum of religion, in the spectrum of faith, in the spectrum of spirituality, in the spectrum of nationhood and identity, the question will come to you sooner or later. Who are you really for? That just question will make us into who we are and who we will be.